former X Division champion and number 22 on PWP's Top 25 of 2022, Mike Bailey here, and you are listening to Pro Wrestling Proverbs with Logan and Anthony.
As I'm sitting here with a cold, crisp can of real American beer, not a sponsor, I'm looking back at the past 12 months inside the PWP universe. The trips on the PWP Express, the videos we've made, the people we've made angry. And we've done quite a bit in 2024. Probably a lot more than we've done in the past few years. Don't you think?
Yeah, content-wise, this is a pretty extensive year. We covered a lot of topics, and we grew a lot. I think that's the main thing. We've been growing year over year, and it's been awesome to see.
Yeah, this is a big year in growth, especially as we get to it because of a couple videos we did, some of the shorts we've done. I know on YouTube right now we're sitting at about 446, I believe, for subscribers.
We got bumped
So we're 54 away from 500, and from there we can share our store, and I believe that means we'd be able to share the stores of any partners that we mention in the YouTube videos as well, or at least like show their site. Don't quote me, haven't looked too much into it yet because it's not unlocked. But yeah, I think January, content-wise, was probably our most fulfilling month. I know that we had you appearing on Windley Mania.
Oh yeah, Windley Mania. Rest in peace. They seem their couple-month hiatus seemed to turn into a almost permanent one. Hopefully not. Hopefully they prove me wrong. So I love their podcast they got going on over there.
Yeah,
I believe that was top 10 matches.
Yes.
Of 2023 I did for them.
Yep.
I did it the year before as well. And it was always fun doing those with Andy, because he'd always have these great technical matches from all over the globe. Then I'd have like Sami Zayn versus the guy from Jackass. That's one of my top 10 of the year. Yeah, I love it. Another thing I did in January, I started experimenting with TikTok Live. Right now, I'm not doing too much on TikTok as there's an impending ban happening on TikTok. So I'm not trying to get too much time invested into something that's going to just get taken away from me. If it does get taken away, I'll just try to move any of the TikTok content over to like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels. But yeah, we have a good little group of guys over on TikTok. The problem with TikTok is not a lot of crossover. So our TikTok audience is a lot different than YouTube, Spotify, like Facebook group, because those are all kind of the same. A lot of crossover there. I'd say probably majority of people, they all get the same info and stuff like that. But people on TikTok do not usually leave TikTok. So we have over 1,000 followers on TikTok. I can get the exact number here. I'll try not to play any videos so it doesn't get no copyright strikes. We have 1,219
Nice
followers on TikTok. And if TikTok goes away, we will lose all those followers. So,
yikes! But
and we lost. I think we might have lost some potential followers with a video we did in January as well. We did
which one?
Our wrestling podcast tier list.
Yeah. So I said at the beginning, kind of like we do with a lot of our content now, where I don't watch or I don't listen to everything. The wrestling podcasts that I do listen to, I think you're about the same with me. Every so often you listen to a full one, but a lot of times you get the clips, whether it be from YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and then that's how you'll kind of figure things out, figure out if you like it, and then you go from the clips to the episodes. Well, this one, we went through all the podcasts that had a wrestling personality as a host. So that pissed people off already, because since people don't have comprehension, they didn't hear us saying that, so they're like, where's this podcast? Where's this podcast? And we'd have to respond, it's only with wrestling personalities. And then I apparently made the wrong decision of not liking Russo's and Dutch Mantel's, but I liked Jim Cornette's, and I put Kevin Nash's a little higher than people thought. That's probably our first video that had really any video or pod that had any negative backlash to it. Kind of crazy. Especially since a tier list is usually someone's opinion, that wrestling fans of all people couldn't let someone have an opinion. But
Nope, not allowed.
You live and you learn. Luckily, even though we made some fans upset, we made one wrestler pretty happy, because for the top 500 of PWI in 2023, Matt Cardona was ranked 13th. We had the Indie God at 10th on our PWP top 25 of 2023. Well, we got a little wink and a nod from the Indie God, because Matt Cardona retweeted it. Pretty cool. We've had some big names retweet in the past, but that was the more recent one that we've gotten. And it seemed a lot of his fans on Twitter agreed with him. I was just looking today, and some of the comments were even higher than 13. So, we did a good thing there. Mr. Cardona may not be excited about our list this year, as he is a honorable mention. Yeah, indeed. But, then another piece of media that we made that I was pretty proud of, around Hulk Hogan's anniversary, we did 2 episodes, one before Hulkamania exploded, and one, it was kind of after his WCW run. We talked a little bit about before the NWO came back, and then we talked about what he did after. So it was the parts of Hulk Hogan's history that's usually left out. Hulk doesn't want you to hear about it, or Vince didn't want you to hear about it, but yeah. And then the big one happened in January. You read about the Vince McMahon lawsuit. I reacted to it, and I made sure to point out that you read it and I reacted to it because people didn't like how you read things, and people did not like how I reacted. Like, they wanted me to just sit there and be silent as you described all these terrible acts. It's almost like they got on something that said podcast and didn't know that they would be talking.
Nope, no talking allowed on the podcast. Should have known
and
that.
then
My bad.
There's some interesting comments yeah. But there's some interesting comments in that video as well. People defending Vince McMahon's acts, or defending that Miss Grant took money. Those were kind of hard to get through, but
that's okay. I
left those comments.
I think that this was probably our best. It's actually our most watched podcast. I think overall it's probably our best one. And I'll still even let the people decide, because as of right now we have a 92% like to dislike ratio. So I'm not gonna focus on these bad apples that leave rude things.
Yeah, on YouTube alone, it had 16,000 views, which is just unheard of. And we probably got half of our followers on YouTube from that video.
Yeah, we gained a lot on this one. I can tell you. We gained 143 subscribers just from people clicking subscribe on that video.
Yeah, so that was a big one. That definitely started the year off strong. I wouldn't have imagined that it got that many, but I guess we were one of the first to really look into it and to talk about it.
I
So, I mean,
I don't think there's many other videos out there that read the entire lawsuit like we did.
no.
Um,
The most I've seen is people finding like the really grotesque stuff and reading it. But we weren't doing it for shock value. We were doing it to explain what's happening. And I mean, we'd been covering Vince McMahon's downfall since he first retired, and we questioned what it was from and what happened, and this was kind of the culmination of that whole series. We joke that we have a bunch of Vince, Bray Wyatt, and CM Punk podcasts, but I think unless something happens, it's really going to be the last Vince-centered one. I can't see until he eventually passes away, I'd assume.
yeah, yeah. Then we'll I kind of got that working out already. We're gonna do. Um, I don't really want to get started into it too soon because he's such a guy. You never know what he's
Yeah.
gonna do next. I don't want to start something and have to add to it later. So,
Yep.
we got a probably a multi-part Vince McMahon career tribute retrospective, whatever you want to call it. Probably not a tribute. We don't want to pay a tribute to somebody like that,
No.
probably. But a retrospective on the life of him when that time does pass. I kind of got it already worked out for the most part.
I mean, if it's anything like our other long form content, which is usually my favorite, then it would be something good to work on. We did say tribute. We did have to say goodbye to a few wrestling personalities this year. The tributes that we put up were for Sid Vicious, Kevin Sullivan, Ole Anderson, Virgil, and both Wild Samoans who died within a month of each other. February, nothing really new, nothing really important for us there. But we get into March, and we had the first of our newer series, the Women in Wrestling, where we've kind of gone over some of the older valets from the 80s, 90s, older women wrestlers. We started with Elizabeth and Woman, probably two of the more tragic stories in women's wrestling, and how they intersected and eventually what happened with them. Almost a spiritual sequel to our Chris Benoit series, as we got to do a little more focus on Woman in this one. And then besides that, in March, we went to two conventions. The first was put on by Big Time Wrestling down in Ohio. This was a Legends of Wrestling show. I went with the Rizzler, his brother, and his dad. We took the long 5-hour car ride. I ended up meeting America's Most Wanted, James Storm and Chris Harris. I also met Wildfire Tommy Rich, former NWA heavyweight champion. The Rizzler and his brother met Kurt Angle, and that was the beginning of getting his big gold belt signed. And then their dad met Missy Hyatt. And there's one other women's wrestler, but that was he was there for the ladies, and then he also met the Rock and Roll Express,
Who were probably also there for the ladies.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. It was a good time. It was, as I said when I talked about it, it was reminiscent of a convention you'd see on TV or you'd see pictures of in magazines, because it was literally in a gym. There's a wrestling ring in the middle of the gym.
I love it.
People had their banners. It had a retro feel. But then the next one we went to, you were able to come, was Squared Circle Expo. We didn't have passes to this one. This one we went as fans because I had went to the year prior. Unfortunately, Rizzler went with that to this one too, but unfortunately, he was in line most of the time for Stinger.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to question his decisions. You know, he can spend his money however he wants. If I had to put money on it, I think he might regret that decision today.
Yeah, he didn't get to walk around it as much because his feet hurt after.
I think
He did get to meet Dolph Ziggler before, as did we.
Yeah, well, I think we got a bigger bang for our buck.
Oh, 100%.
And we had to walk.
We got to see all the different figures.
Shit.
Yeah, we did.
No,
they didn't have ATMs working in.
Well, they ran out of money. They decided not to refill them.
Yeah, they ran out of money in that one, and then the hotel next door didn't have any money, so then we walked to the bank down the road. Before that, though, the Rizzler got to meet.
Thankfully, the bank did have money.
Yes. I pulled out a big wad. The reason that we went for that is I forgot to grab money on the way down. And then, of course, the first person we went to meet, Dolph Ziggler, he needed cash. Rizzler met him, got his big gold belt signed. We met him. Well, actually, he met him, and then we got him in line for Sting. And then we'd periodically meet up with him after that. We met Nick Nemeth. We met Haku. We met Lex Luger, and I kneed him in the back on accident. We met D'Lo Brown, and we discussed how Justin... It could have been on purpose. But we talked to D'Lo Brown, a Chicago Bears fan.
Yep.
And we talked about how Justin Fields would be a good addition for Pittsburgh, and look at us now, D'Lo. We were right. Pittsburgh's doing well, going to go to the playoffs, and Chicago's being Chicago.
Yikes.
We also met Mark Henry to get the big gold belt signed for the Rizzler. Do you want it signed sexual chocolate or just Mark Henry?
I'll never forget that. It took him a while to figure out how to spell sexual chocolate, too.
Yeah, if you've listened to him on Busted Open or whatever, he's not the brightest. We also met Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, what a trip.
And I'm trying to... and Luchasaurus.
Remember when we went to go meet Dustin? He was on the phone.
Yeah.
He was yelling to somebody.
And then he apologized to us after.
Yeah. Like,
sorry about that. It's like, what? Yeah, Dustin, get off the phone. Yeah.
You don't have a personal life at home. You're just a wrestler. Get off the phone and sign my piece of paper.
Good show. They always put on a good one. I'm definitely stinky because wrestling fans. We got to bump into the Dad World Order when we were there.
Yeah.
And
contact.
I bought quite a bit of figures there. I can't be stopped.
He's a menace.
Yeah, I always love that convention. If someone like a D'Lo Brown, or I know the year before, my big go was for Kurt Angle and then Demolition for my uncle. If someone like that's there, definitely go back again. It's a fun time, especially having all the wrestling people around you. Now we move into April. A big part of that month was what happened to CM Punk and AEW.
Yeah, that was kind of... I think that was after he had that interview right before
yes.
Mania. So we kind of got inspired to kind of break it down. What happened from debut to firing. But I don't think that was the best thing that happened to us that weekend. We also went to our next convention that we got passes for. One of our favorites every year is Astronomicon.
Yeah, the 7th one. This one, the only wrestling-related individual that I met was Kane, politician, heavyweight champion. According to The Undertaker. Yeah, according to The Undertaker, on the winning team, Mayor Glenn. That's what the Undertaker said. Undertaker and Kane won. Batista McFoley lost. Just telling you what he said. What the dead man said. Kane is a big boy. It's when he stood up next to me and his arms are still in tremendous shape. I felt small. Felt like a small little guy. We joked about how he could probably slam one more person, but then he'd tear all the muscles in his body, and then he'd be just like Dwayne. We had a good laugh. Little did I know that The Rock would come back and then participate in... Oh no, I think I knew at that point. But little did I know that he'd come back even more and be a part of the company as he is. So, Rock, let Kane come back. Don't get angry. Don't get hot.
Don't get hot now.
We did our first attempt at a live stream. We had another tournament that we did not finish.
That's okay. We ran into some technical difficulties throughout the stream.
Yeah, the PWP March Madness. We had some tag teams, some fun teams. It went a while, and went longer than we thought it would. But yeah, that second tournament, if you're interested, I believe the live stream is still on our YouTube. If you're even more interested, the PWP World Cup, I believe, is still on YouTube. If you want to go take a look at that, it's us reacting to some matches on the good old WWE 2K. And finally, a little personal note for April. On our Facebook is a post about Paul Heyman going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Came from yours truly. Described everything that Paul did in his career, all the influence he has, and how he is like the Bill Belichick of the WWE. His influence can be felt everywhere. It's a Paul Heyman tree, just like there's a Bill Belichick tree.
The Paul Heyman tree. Paul Heyman coaching tree.
Yes. May rolled around, and also on our Facebook, I finished my 5-part series on Detroit / the Sheik's Big Time Wrestling. We put out the Owen Hart pod that we had been teasing for some time, a 2-parter, where we dive into it more than any WWE documentary or any Dark Side of the Ring doc has, in my opinion.
You did a good job.
That month was also the second time that we were invited to a TNA press conference, an online one. This one had PCO and friend of the show, Speedball Mike Bailey. That's right, I just confirmed. He's a great guy. Nothing but positives about him. One of our favorites.
Well,
Shout out Mike Bailey. Nothing happened in June. Took everyone needs a break. This isn't our full-time gig. July rolled around though. July was a big month.
Oh yeah. Another controversial YouTube video we posted that I thought would be a good time. I thought we'd be able to do a couple.
Yeah, just
more.
a fun time.
Yeah, just a goof and a gaff. Somebody stabbing a former wrestler stabbing somebody in a Love's gas station. I thought that'd be a nice goof and a gaff. Apparently, it's not. Apparently, you're not allowed to make fun of that.
So the podcast was called Two Cold Killers because, as you alluded to, Two Cold Scorpio stabbed a man. I'd like to point out there's 2 stab wounds in the guy's back, so it's not self-defense at that point. And then Billy Jack Haynes shot his wife, so we called it Killers. And we thought it was funny because Too Cold Killer, he was Too Cold Scorpio, and it was said on the Dark Side of the Ring that he wanted to kill Road Warrior Hawk. So we thought it was funny. People didn't think it was funny. First for the show, we had to disable comments.
Yeah.
It's actually you that recommended disabling them. I was still going.
You were just typing away.
Yep.
I think more people were more so with the title. But But again, I thought that was just a funny goof in the guy, and I didn't realize
Yeah.
Too Cold Scorpio had that many diehards.
Such a fandom.
They'll go to random YouTube videos to fight for his honor.
I know.
If I ever meet him, I'll make sure not to stop at the Loves on the way home, and to let him know that we had a nice little goof in the gaff. And he has got loyal fans that will die for him.
Yeah.
Probably also
Another goof. Another goof and a gaff we did. I, of course, do Logan Scriptures, where I talk about how things could have been booked, should have been booked, could be booked. Well, around this time, it was being hinted that Shane McMahon was going to show up in AEW.
Still might.
So I talked about Shane McMahon coming to AEW, a Shane McMahon takeover, which was filled with a bunch of former WWE guys, which now makes me nervous that it could happen in real life, because I think Jon Moxley was on his side in my thing. And then how it ended with Sting coming down and just beating the shit out of him with a bat. And I think Goldberg, too. Just for fun. And that was the most viewed scripture that we've had in quite some time. Nobody got upset with that title, though, even though that was quote-unquote clickbait, too. But
I think that was more
what do I know?
than the one I did. Than my idea. Fuck.
And then the last one, which is the one I'm the most proud of, for a pod, we did a longer profile. Just because this man didn't get a lot done on him in his career. We did a Behind the Mask on Mr. America. Ronald Reagan's savior, Hulk Hogan hater, the Mr. America.
Yeah, that was a good episode, a good goof and a gaff for 4th of July.
Yeah, it's one that we'd actually been talking about for a couple of years.
If I finally remember,
It was just always sitting in the back of our minds, and pulled the trigger, did it. We got to learn about good old Gene, and how Hulk Hogan kept taking his spot.
That damn bastard.
On the other side of kayfabe, oh yes, he is. On the other side of kayfabe, we interviewed Dominic Reggio, the Mess Bucket Comics writer and, I believe, CEO.
Yeah, he does everything over there.
He works on. He has done the Roddy Piper and Davey Boy Smith graphic novels, and he gave us a hint. Great graphic novels, fun to be had.
We're gonna keep
Wrestling and Avengers combined, and it was just fun talking to the guy. He seemed down to earth. He knew his wrestling. He liked his wrestling, and then that all stemmed from meeting him at Astronomicon. So that worked out. As we said, Astronomicon has always been good to us. But 3 pretty big things happened in July as well. We started working with partners.
Partners.
The first
Tag team partners.
being the first being Dr. Squatch. As always, look in our description or the comments below, depending on what app you are using, and use this link to Dr. Squatch to get $10 off your order of $20 or more. So many different scents, and then so many fun collaborations from Dr. Squatch. I know when we first started working with them, they put out a Logan Adamantium soap. They've done a SpongeBob one. The one I'm still impressed with is the Ninja Turtles, where it was pizza scented.
So Logan,
Yeah.
if Dr. Squatch came out with a PWP scented soap,
Okay.
what would the scent be?
I'm gonna give 2. I'm gonna give a real answer, but then an inside joke for you and I, so we can acknowledge the third member of PWP. It'd probably smell like socks tossed under a computer desk. The real scent. I I don't know what. You know what? I think if it's you and I doing a collaboration, it would smell something like a Taco Bell.
The inside of a early 2010s Taco Bell.
Yep.
I think
Uh,
I think that would smell quite good. Kind of nostalgic
bes-
for it right now.
Besides the ones I said, they've also done Star Wars soaps, Game of Thrones, The Avengers, Joker and Batman, Fight Scrub like Fight Club, Game of Thrones, and right now they've got the Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Lord of the Rings on their website. So they do all sorts of things, and like I've said before, I'm just impressed with the collaborations because when you think soap, you really don't think of media collabs, and they're like the Fortnite of soap. But then it's not just Dr. Squatch and that awesome link in our bio. We also started getting paired up with one of my favorites, card game Lucha Wars. I guess it's a card board game combo. You get to pick a character, which if you go over to our Facebook and Instagram, you'll find many posts describing the characters from the game. I talk about their hit points, I talk about their finishing moves. If they have any connection to real life pro wrestling, I tie that in. Like one of them looks a bit like Kane, so you'll notice in their title I put "that's gotta be" and then the person's name. You'll have to go to our Instagram and Facebook to find that. But Lucha Wars, fun game for all. It's a turn-based game, and it's pro wrestling. You don't get a lot of those, so I'm glad that we have one out there. You are able to find Lucha Wars on their website as well as on Amazon for $35. And I definitely think it's worth it. It's a good sized game, a lot of pieces, looks great. If you need to know what comes in the box or you want to see what the characters look like, we also have reels of those and shorts of those on our Instagram and YouTube, respectively. And finally, the last partnership, as I said, we were busy in July, Retro Mania Wrestling. This, of course, is a game that has a roster of individuals dating back to Austin Idol from the NWA days, coming all the way to current Chris Bay of TNA Impact. I love this game. I love the look. I love the aesthetic. It gives off the old WrestleMania, the arcade game that WWE put out. Legion of Doom are on the game. You can wrestle in Japan. You can wrestle at House of Hardcore. Our social medias lately, which I believe I have one more, has been posting the dream matches that you can do on Retromania. My favorite that I've done so far is discussing Matt Cardona and Tommy Dreamer all these years later, with Matt Cardona being the deathmatch king and Tommy Dreamer, of course, the innovator of violence. But a lot of people forget is Zack Ryder is who Tommy Dreamer lost to when he had to retire from ECW. So it'd be an angle that writes itself and something that you can play and portray on your own copy of Retromania Wrestling. We were lucky enough to be gifted a Steam code so that way we could play the game, try it out, let you know how it goes. But if you're looking for your own copy, don't worry. You can find it on the Switch, the Xbox, the PS4, and on your Steam account. Make sure to purchase, especially if you're a wrestling fan. You want something that feels like the good old days. You're tired of all the reversals in the 2K games. You're tired of that arcadey feel on AEW's Fight Forever. You want a good classic wrestling game, you gotta get Retromania Wrestling, which has DLC in the form of the Rock and Roll Express, Magnum TA, and more. And after such a busy July, August rolled around and went to our favorite retro convention, It gives me flashbacks to how they used to be with prices and with people and crowds. It's the really cool con
Probably our favorite
in
convention.
in Flint, Michigan. It is. I think it's tied for one that I'll talk about later. But really cool con. Another good year. More good merch. I gotta say, really cool con gives me one of my few cases of FOMO at a convention. Because if you remember the year we went, Ethan Page was there for like $15.
Yeah.
And now he's big guy at NXT. Definitely missed out on that one. We didn't miss out on the other two people there. I won't drag names, but Charge Lunch sucks.
Oh, so you can drag his fucking name. Fuck him.
But really cool con if you're in the Michigan area in the summertime. Highly recommend it. As I said, prices are good. It's big, but it's not crowded. There's easily accessible food and drink, which I've noticed at some cons is kind of getting harder to come by. It's a good time. The year that you and your now fiance went,
Yeah.
you both said that you enjoyed it. My wife's loved it the 2 years we've went. My brother loved it this past year. And nobody really has any complaints with it. Even the parking's good. All the things that you would normally complain about a convention for, not here. And then we move into September, where the con that I think is tied with Really Cool Con. It was the Monroe Comic Con. Went to this one. This one is actually put on by Rhino and some of his business partners. Again, it's a great con, just like Really Cool Con. Prices are good. Parking's good. I actually met the brother of Ron Howard, famous director and child actor. I met Clint Howard. And to tie it into wrestling, he is in Terrifier 3, which also has Chris Jericho. It was a good con. It was my dad, my brother, and I. They gave us passes just like the Really Cool Con did. If you want to see quick walkthroughs of this convention, head over to our YouTube. I try now to do a quick video on each con that we go to. I show off what wrestling merchandise they have. You get to kind of see the entrance and the crowd. Because, I mean, these little cons, it makes it so that way people who can't make it to the Motor City Comic Cons or the C2E2s, this allows, communities of all types, anime, wrestling, horror, toy collecting. It allows them all to meet up and have one shared space without having to spend an arm and a leg. And finally, in September, we also began working with Smack Talk Showdown. This is a card game where first you draw 2 cards and that you get your character name. In the video on our YouTube right now, I was the Macho Librarian. And then you flip another card and that tells you what your promo is going to be about. And mine was about the new mall coming to town. So I talked about the Mall of America 2. I did this while dressed up like Macho Man and holding the book. And then, as you're playing with other people, they're the producers, and they throw a producer card at you. So it does something you have to do during the promo. Sometimes you have to talk silently, or softly. Sometimes you have to do, like, jumping jacks while doing your promo. Stuff along those lines. Mine was to hold the belt up, and luckily, being the Macho Librarian, I had a belt. You can go to YouTube and see that promo there. I plan on posting a couple more just to kind of give a feel for the game. And it's a fun one. You don't have to be a wrestling fan to enjoy it. But I think it makes it a little more fun because there's a couple nuanced things in there, a couple wrestling related that I don't think, non-fans, non-marks would get. I already have some characters in mind, and we'll just have to see where that goes. But Smack Talk Showdown, again, another great partnership. Again, it's hard to find wrestling-related content out there, let alone games. So
Yeah, game's not named 2K, so.
Yeah.
So
the fact that we have a card game, a board game, and a video game working with us, pretty cool. Made 2024 even more special. In my opinion, October had probably the most special week for the convention that wasn't truly content related. We were given passes to TNA's Bound for Glory and the Bound for Glory press conference beforehand.
Yeah.
You weren't able to make the press conference, but luckily I have a wife that has done camera themed jobs before, went to school for some camera work, has done editing, so I brought her along. We were one of maybe 20 sets of press at the event. Now, I talked before that it seemed like the Sean Ross Saps, Big League TNA, they didn't want to come to Detroit.
We did not.
We did not. I went. I took a half day off work.
Sean Ross
Went
did
to the
not
press.
take a half day off work. He took a
No.
full day that day.
Went to the press conference. Got to see Joe Hendry, Nick Nemeth, the Hardys, and Kazarian. It was very cool, very surreal. If you go to YouTube to their press conference video on the TNA YouTube, you'll actually see my wife and I waving our hands from side to side for Joe Hendry. Fun moment. And then that same weekend, we got passes to the Bound for Glory event. At first, we kind of complained about how they had the seating set up because we weren't assigned seats. We were just told certain rows to be in.
Yeah,
But it worked out.
It worked out great. I don't think we
We were in the front middle.
our last podcast we did, besides the top 25 that we just put out, was our preview going into Bound for Glory. So we didn't even get to talk about our time at Bound for Glory.
No, we haven't yet.
But it was, I had a great time. It worked out great. I sat next to this nice old lady. She is the mother of the ringside director, I think was the title.
Yes.
She pointed out her daughter to me. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Apparently she used to be a nurse.
Oh.
And, I think she would go to some of her. I think her daughter used to be like an indie wrestler or something. So she'd go to the shows and work it as like a nurse or something. If somebody got kind of beat up, so that's
pretty cool.
She gets kind of jumpy at some of the spots, especially during the Mike Bailey Vikingo match. Yeah, it was. Let's back up a little bit. We showed up. We had to wait in line, which I think was a good sign for TNA, because the line for us to get tickets, it was longer than the line for people that were like they pre-bought tickets. So they got through everybody. That line was longer. We only had the one line to get tickets, and there was like 6 or 7 lines for letting people in constantly. I thought we showed up fairly early, but we missed the entire pre-show for the most part, except for that Battle Royal.
The Call Your Shot.
Yeah, so we were able to catch that. Was that the pre-show? Or was that the main card? I don't remember.
The Call Your Shot was on the pre-show because there was a women's match we missed, and we missed the 2 Hall of Fame inductions.
Yeah, we walked in at the end of Rhino's Hall of Fame, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So yeah, we got there. We tried to figure out how to sit ourselves. We kind of, I don't know if you picked up on this. It was very much I think, like that group of the people that got like press or like comped tickets.
Yeah.
It seemed kind of like cliquey. Like they've all kind of been there before. I kind of felt like the new kid going to a school trying to find somewhere to sit at lunch. And thankfully, the nice little lady had 2 spots right in the front for us open.
It was front middle. The only people that had closer seats than us were the ones that paid $400 to $500 a seat for the VIP chairs and VIP seating.
I bet you a lot of those people took out like lines of credit to get those, huh?
It was a great show. I got a TNA hoodie. We got some, I believe, in Joe Hendry bumper stickers.
Yep.
The show itself was great.
Yeah, the show is. We can. I don't know if we really want to get into review like each thing, but I don't think so. It was a great show. In the moment, I think we're upset that Joe Hendry lost, but I feel like it if they weren't putting him on last, he was obviously going to lose, and we knew the Hardys were going to win the main event. It was a good time. The Hardys put on a good show. I was actually pretty impressed. But I think probably the next most exciting thing of the night was what happened to us after the show.
At IHOP?
We went to IHOP, our 24-hour IHOP. It was great.
Oh man, I got a lot of food.
We got a lot of food. I got the Reese Pieces stack of pancakes that they had, and it was pretty busy for it. It was like 2 a.m. We're in an IHOP in Roseville, Michigan. For those of you that don't live in the area, Roseville's not necessarily the best place to go get food at 2 a.m.
I trusted you.
It was all right. It was open. I was like, we fine.
Well, yeah, because we were sitting there and we wanted Waffle House, and we knew there wasn't a close Waffle House.
Yeah.
So then we're like, I guess this will work.
So we looked up IHOP and Denny's. We tried to find an open IHOP and Denny's.
I got a country fried steak meal, and I'm pretty sure I got chocolate chip pancakes too, and mozzarella sticks as an app.
Yeah, and there was just one poor old lady working,
and her kid.
She wasn't that old. Yeah, this IHOP might be breaking child labor laws. This kid was bussing tables. He was taking money. He was hustling. He was bringing drinks out. We left a good enough tip, so maybe he can help pay for his education later in life.
Maybe he'll go to a wrestling school.
Maybe he'll go to wrestling school. But I left my bag at that IHOP.
Yes, I forgot about that.
With all my stuff in it, like my license, my cards, and then also had the ultrasound photos, like all of them, because I think either we were going to later that day or that week, or it just happened. We were doing like a photo shoot. Me and my fiance, like a maternity photo shoot or whatever. So we had the ultrasounds or whatever. So I had them in my bag. I had all of them. Literally no other copies on this planet except for the ones that were in my bag. And I left it there. And I went to work the next day. So that was Buffalo was on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Or a Sunday?
Saturday, because I went home on Sunday.
So we went there on Saturday. I went to work Sunday night, the night before, the night after. Worked until the next morning. Got home. I think I had to go. I needed to pay for something on my phone using my card, and I couldn't find my bag. Although I also had my work stuff in it. That's how I realized I didn't have it on me. So I was like, I left for work. I was like, oh, my bag's not in the house. I must have left it in the car. And I didn't check the car really when I got out there, so I just left for work. Realized my bag wasn't in the car at work. So okay, maybe I just didn't check hard enough at home. Maybe it's sitting on one of the chairs I didn't check. So I get home. It's nowhere in the house, nowhere in the car. I call up to the IHOP. I'm on hold for 45 fucking minutes at this IHOP. No one's picking up the phone. Not just on hold where someone's like, yeah, please hold, we're busy. They just let it ring. And I know they're open because it's 8 a.m. at this point. I'm like, I know you're open. I double checked. I called 3 or 4 times. Finally, somebody answered. I tried to explain to him the situation. Hey, I left my bag there. It's an Adidas pullover bag or whatever. She said, okay, I'll go check for you. I'm on hold for 20 minutes. I hang up. It's been almost an hour at this point. I try calling again, same thing. They're not answering. And I haven't slept yet. I was probably up for 14, 15 hours at this point. So I was like, fuck it. We're going to drive to Roseville from my house, which is probably a 45 minute drive.
Yep.
So we drove down there. The lady greets us like we're about to sit. I'm like, nope, I'm not sitting. I'm here for my bag. My bag's here. I know it is. I was I thought for sure it was gone. Somebody took it because I left it in the booth. I think the only saving grace was that it was late at night and there was nobody else really in our area. And then somebody sat down right after us, which was not too likely. It wasn't super busy. It was maybe like
Yeah.
5 other people in the entire place. Then the lady comes out with the bag, and I was so relieved. Nothing was missing in it. I was like, tell that lady that was working that night how much I love her. Turns out she's like the general manager for like the restaurant,
Really?
and I guess she's like the actual like boss of like that IHOP, not just like the regular manager. She's like the one above
Oh
the normal
boy.
manager. So I was like, sweet, tell her she's awesome. I went across the street and bought a new battery for my AirTag and put it in my backpack. So now I have an AirTag in my backpack, so I'll never lose it again. So yeah, that was our Bound for Glory weekend.
Yeah, it was a great time. We saw the Rizzler at it, and besides a couple YouTube videos where you can see us in the crowd, because like I said, we were close, I'm almost certain that when TNA releases this on DVD, or if you go and watch it on TNA Plus right now, I'm pretty certain after the Masha Slamovich Jordan Grace match, the camera gets right on us.
Yeah,
Because
so
I remember us looking around.
Somebody go order it and let us know and come back.
I've been waiting. I really want it on DVD because I want to sit and just dissect it as I did with the Ric Flair last match. But the difference is I'm almost certain that I remember we looked up and the camera's right there, so we started chanting. Because I know at that point we both were kind of tired. But I noticed that we both, maybe because we're carnies, whenever the camera would get near us, we'd like pick it up and be like, yeah!
Yeah, we gotta get that. I was running my PWP jack and I had to try to get on camera.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so thankful that they invited us to the whole thing. It was definitely a way to cap off the year.
Yeah.
And that wasn't even the last thing. The big thing in November, I'm sure if you guys are following us on our Facebook and Instagram, which if you aren't, why not? For those near South Lansing, with PWP being a Michigan kind of regional pod, I've made this partnership even more regional. Here in South Lansing, I'm working with Tormina's Pizza, the pizza place famous for those huge 24-inch pizzas. I've watched them get made. Those things are no joke. You've seen a couple of the meals that I've ordered from Tormina's. Post them. You've seen some of my great image working of the new partnership with Tormina's and PWP. There's a lot of posting lately because of Survivor Series, but what other pizza place is going to be able to fill both Survivor Series team stomachs more than Tormina's? I think it's good. I think it reminds me of homemade pizza. And there's so many different flavors, especially at this South Lansing location. I love that I can get buffalo chicken on a sandwich, on a pizza, the wings themselves, or on a salad. I don't even have to think. I can just get buffalo chicken whenever. Delicious place, and anyone in the area that I've recommended it to that's tried it has loved it. Be on the lookout as I continue to post more for it, and we share their account, and then they share our account. You heard that right. We're not only working with Dr. Squatch, we not only are working with the video game, we're not only working with the board game, we're not only working with the card game, we not only were invited to Bound for Glory, we're working with a pizza company.
Now, real quick before we transition to our last thing, our Spotify Wrapped, creator Wrapped.
Yes.
I'll go through that real quick. 2024 gains. We gained 8%. This is just for Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I think Odyssey maybe included in this. 8% listeners, 11% gain on streams, and 45% gain in followers. 84% new listeners this year. And the top episode this year on Spotify, same as YouTube, was the Vince allegations.
Of course.
Listener age brackets. Do you want to take a guess? I don't know if you've seen it when we were going through it earlier. No, it was kind of freaking out. What do you think is our highest demographic?
18 to 25 male.
It is 35 to 44.
Oh.
36% of our listeners fall into that category. I think the 0 to 17 might actually be higher than that, but it doesn't show it. But because I know that from looking at our analytics, that we usually have a high 0 to 17
Okay.
gap. 2% 55 plus, 12% 45 to 54, 20% for 30 to 34, 25% 25 to 29, and then only 5% for the 18 to 24 demo. Which isn't the 18 to 24 like the key demo in wrestling, or is that?
Yes.
Or do they do 18 to 29?
I know it starts at least with 18. I guess I don't know for sure when it ends.
We had listeners in 7 countries. Our top country was the United States. I don't have it in front of me, but off the top of my head, I know 2 is United Kingdom. I think 3 is Canada. I know Australia and Germany are up there as well. So thank
We're
you.
loved across the globe.
If you're one of those countries, much respect to you. We love you. And then we had 5 people who had us as their number 1 podcast on Spotify, which I think is huge. It's actually,
That's crazy.
It's not JRE numbers, because 1 is not me. Our podcast is not top 5 for myself, because I do not listen to my own podcast that much.
It's not me either.
Yeah, I don't think you listen to podcasts on Spotify.
Nope.
So yeah, we have 5. There's 5 random strangers out there that have it, and then we had an average rating of 5 stars. So keep that up. If you're listening and haven't rated us on Spotify or wherever you're listening, please give us a 5-star. I think we deserve it. And then they did this thing where they figured out our creator personality.
Okay.
And we are the storyteller.
The storyteller.
Yeah.
Does it say why, or?
They did this thing where, like, it talks about, like, posting frequency, I think, like, length and something else, and it kind of, like, all those we were maxed out on all of them, and they made us the storyteller. So I don't know what the other options are. I feel like podcasts are mostly stories. I don't know what you're doing on a podcast if you're not talking about stuff that happens. That's kind of like a story.
You're being a jabroni.
Well, anyway, I think that kind of puts a good little bow on our 2024. 2025, we don't have too much planned set in stone, like trips or events wise, because I will have a newborn. So long term trips may be hard, but we will have to try and figure it out if something comes up.
Definitely.
But yeah, we will. The podcast continues. We have a lot of content planned for the first couple months here. Before we get there, I do have a challenge for Logan.
Okay.
We're gonna look ahead to 2025. We're gonna do I call it the 2025 draft. Each of us, I think we're gonna pick. Let me see. 5 things that we believe will happen in 2025, and which one of us gets the most correct in our picks wins a Taco Bell box. I think that's what we decided.
Yeah, we did.
They want a Lux craving box or a build your own cravings box. We'll figure it out. Whatever box they have by next December.
I had one of those for dinner tonight. One of the chalupa boxes.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you because we're recording this the same day as the top 25, and you left to go get dinner, and you said you're going to go get Taco Bell. I want to see what you got. And you came back, so you got the chalupa box.
Yeah, we got we got Taco Bell, and I got that chalupa box because it had nacho fries, a chalupa, one of the cantina chicken tacos, and now I take the 5-layer burrito and I remove the beef and I put beans in it, so it's like a super big cheesy bean and rice burrito.
So what I do, I take the beans out. I add rice, and you grill it. That's what you gotta do. Anyway, so you kind of balled out because I know that chalupa box, that cantina chalupa box. That's like a $10-11 box there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You kind of. I guess you deserve it, but but yeah, well, I'll pick 5 things. Hopefully we don't have the same things. I have mine written down. I don't know if you have yours written down. If you're kind of go off the cuff here.
I'm gonna go off the cuff.
You'll go off the cuff. So we'll pick 5 things. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Do we want to go one?
Do you want to do?
Do we do one at a time?
Do you want to do a snake draft?
Yeah, let's do that.
1, 2, 2, 1. 1, 2, 2, 1.
Yeah, you'll just have to remind me, but yeah.
All right. You can go first if you want.
Jordan Grace comes to WWE full time and wins the Women's Royal Rumble.
Hold on. Let me write yours down because we gotta save these. So you want that has for both for one? You don't want to do like 2 separate ones?
Nope, that's for one. She wins the Rumble, and she comes to WWE and then she wins the Women's Royal Rumble.
Women's Royal Rumble. All right, so I get 2 here.
Yep.
I'm taking a chance on this one because I know you're gonna pick the other one probably. So I'm gonna try to get out ahead of it. I'm gonna take a chance that John Cena does not win his 17th world title this year.
Wow.
I feel like he does other stuff, makes it more memorable. He does not win a 17th world title. And then the second one, I think this year CM Punk finally main events a WrestleMania. I'm not going to specify night 1 or 2, but I believe that he will probably night 1, I'd assume. But CM Punk finally gets his WrestleMania main event. So now, Logan, you get 2.
So the first I'll do, this is a combination of a want and a think will happen. I know he's rumored to go to AEW, but look at what the Machine Guns did as soon as they came to WWE. I want to see our boy, friend of the podcast, Speedball Mike Bailey, show up in the WWE.
Okay. I wouldn't be mad at that.
And then the other is, you kind of hinted at it. I'm going to do another twofer. 2-in-1, baby. It's like a parlay. Cena not only wins the Royal Rumble, giving himself his 3rd Royal Rumble win, tying with Stone Cold for the most of all time, but then he goes on to WrestleMania to win his 17th world title.
Now this one I kind of hinted at in our top 25 episode. I'm going to predict that Cody Rhodes turns heel sometime in 2024. I don't know when or how it happens. If it's only for a little bit, he will be a heel. Cody Rhodes will be a heel sometime in the year
Okay.
2024. And then my fourth pick, again, trying to go off on some baseless speculation that I'm hearing. I believe The Rock will not wrestle at all in the year 2025.
That'd be so crazy, especially with his last appearance when he came out on the ramp.
People are saying that there's currently no plans for The Rock at Mania, and if I can get through Mania with no Rock, I feel fairly confident that he will not wrestle at all in 2025. He can make appearances. I didn't say
Yeah.
he can't show up. He could be a special guest referee, an enforcer, interfere. But The Rock will not wrestle in a sanctioned match in the year of our Lord 2025.
Okay.
So this will be your last two.
I think since they're doing this Death Riders stable in AEW, and they're hitting at a higher power, and Ring of Honor's looking to get a TV deal, and they're putting Chris Jericho as the Ring of Honor champion, why not take one of my scriptures and make them a reality somewhat? Shane McMahon will work with Tony Khan, but Shane McMahon will end up, quote-unquote, running Ring of Honor. Since, if you remember, he wanted to run ECW like Ring of Honor. He wanted to do that Raw Underground. It'd be the perfect spot.
Does he actually run Ring of Honor, or is it like a character that runs it?
I think he'll start out as a character, but eventually he'll be given the green light.
Okay.
Kind of like Eric Bischoff when he first came back to Raw, where at first he was on screen, and then after so long he started doing creative. I think that. And then my final one.
Gotta make it a good one.
Oh, I'm trying to come up with something that maybe has been talked about, and see, I've already done all my hopes, and one Shane McMahon. You know what? That's something I've thought. As much as he says he won't, and even though right now he is the one half of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions and one half of the Ring of Honor Six-Man Tag Team Champions, I think we see Dustin Rhodes back in the WWE in 2025, which could lead to a feud, but will most certainly lead to a Hall of Fame induction in 1996, which I believe 95-96 would culminate in a anniversary of the Goldust character.
You know, I'm gonna change mine because I don't want to have two easy ones. I feel like the last one I had was gonna be a little bit too easy.
Okay.
I think Big E returns to action.
Oh, that'd be hot.
I feel like he might already kind of have the idea that he's coming back. I think he's gonna do something with this new day that's going on with Kobe and Xavier. I think Big E comes and saves the day. He returns in 2025. I was gonna do something with Joe Hendry in the Rumble, but I feel like that's kind of almost a layup, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
I want it to be a little bit harder, since you got Dustin and going to WWE and Shane McMahon showing up in AEW. Who knows? So I want kind of a hard one. Give me Big E returns to action
I've been booking that for years now.
in 2025. So to recap, we have for Logan, he has Jordan Grace wins the Women's Royal Rumble. Mike Bailey debuts in WWE. We will count main roster and NXT for that. John Cena wins the Royal Rumble and his 17th world title. That's a twofer.
It's a twofer.
It's a twofer. Shane McMahon joins AEW and runs Ring of Honor. Dustin Rhodes goes back to WWE, possibly for some sort of Hall of Fame or team up with Cody. I'm saying that John Cena will not win a 17th world title. I think he fights for it. I don't think he wins. CM Punk will main event WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes turns heel sometime this year. The Rock will not wrestle in 2025, but Big E will return to action in 2025. So those are the 5. Whoever gets the majority, we'll say, whoever puts on the scorecard, January 1st, 2026, a Taco Bell box will be delivered to the home of the winner.
Delicious.
Again, if you're listening to this far, you're obviously somebody that supports us, and we appreciate it. So thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting. Go ahead and please share this on your social medias. Rate, review, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Odyssey, wherever you're listening. And thank you for everything in 2024. We look forward to a great 2025 for Pro Wrestling Proverbs.